right. Now we're going to have a joint meeting for their Design Review Board and the Urbana MOR Development Review Board. And once again, though, we will need to have a motion and a second for a chair for that meeting.
But everyone can participate. Thank you.
I'll move for Scott to be chair this time.
Adam's motion.
Second.
Second by Kim. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right. I'd like to call to order the joint meeting of the Urbana Design Review Board and Urbana MOR Development Review Board for Thursday, January 25th, 2018. Can we have a roll call, please?
Ms. McGuire?
Here.
Mr. Kunkel?
Here.
Ms. Wedrogo?
Here.
Mr. Poss? Ms. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Cho? Mr. Rush?
Here.
And Mr. Weiskopf.
We have a quorum. Are there any changes to the agenda? No? Okay. In your board packet were the meeting minutes from the joint meeting that last occurred on January 12th, 2017. If you had an opportunity to review those minutes, any questions, comments, corrections? If not, can I get a motion for approval of those minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
A motion by Nancy,
Second.
second by Kim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved. Any communications to the joint meeting? Nope. Audience participation, again, just for the joint meeting. Nope. No continued public hearings, I believe. No old business. No new public hearings. No new business. Staff report.
As some of you are aware, there was an interest expressed by members of this combined board to combine both of the Design Review Board and the MOR Development Review Board into one board. Subsequent to that, I have received mayoral direction to process that application. What that process is a text amendment to the zoning ordinance, which means that the Plan Commission would hear the item as a public hearing, and then they would make a recommendation to City Council. So what I have before you tonight is some suggestions that I wanted to put before you for some input. Basically, this is just the composition of what a combined board could look like. The text of it would also include, combining other things in there, but I think this is really the heart of the matter here, so I wanted to put this in front of you before I took it to Plan Commission. So in essence, as you're aware, the current Design Review Board consists of 7 members. 4 of those members are representing one of Plan Commission, one from Historic Preservation, someone that represents the architectural community as an architect, and then a local developer, and then 3 residents of Urbana, which typically then are assigned to one of the overlay districts. Conversely, the Mixed Office Residential, or the MOR Development Review Board, also has 7 members. Those first 4 that I mentioned for Design Review Board are the same members, so member of Plan Commission, member of Historic Preservation, an architect, and a developer. Then they go on to fill up the rest of the board for MOR with an owner-occupant of property within that district, a resident living inside or within 250 feet of that district, and an owner of a local small business with fewer than 40 employees. So because having a board of 4 plus 6 would be a little unwieldy, I am proposing that to combine the board, you could have 7 members and then have 2 alternate members, which would only need to participate should we not have a regular member there. That does a couple things. One, it means that we often have quorum instead of worrying about quorum. But 2, what it also means as a combined board is that people would actually have an opportunity to participate more often, because sometimes we have more MOR cases, but no DRB cases. Sometimes we have just DRB cases. So it's an opportunity to get a board to be meeting slightly more regularly with the consistent composition. So what I've put here on a proposed composition, again, the 7 members plus 2 alternates, would be the first same 4, someone from the Plan Commission, someone from Historic Preservation, a licensed architect, and a local developer. Then to round out to get to the magic number of 7, which is often the number that boards strive to be because it's supposedly the perfect number for boards, 3 individuals out of the following 4. So residents within or immediately adjacent to the different districts that we have, so the MOR zoning district, the Lincoln-Busey corridor, and the East Urbana Design Review Overlay District, as well as potentially an owner of a small business. Now, in the future, there's also been discussion on having a downtown overlay district, and if that's the case, then having that position change from the local small business owner to something slightly broader but representing downtown, it would make perfect sense just to change that in the future. And then up to 2 alternate members from any of those other categories. By doing that, then that means that nobody that's currently on the board would have to necessarily not be on a board anymore. So that's what I'm proposing at this point, but I would be happy to take input either here or later. And just a reminder for our representative from Plan Commission, since this will be a case in front of Plan Commission, questions are appreciated, but you shouldn't have a public discussion on whether or not you support any aspect of this.
I'm curious how the alternates would work. Would it be that if somebody knows they're going to miss the meeting, they contact one of the alternates and ask them to sit in their place?
We could take care of that. So basically, when we would do a quorum call, we'd figure out who was able to make it, and then if we had gaps, then we could say, hey, we need help from the alternates to fill this seat.
Okay.
So we would take care of that. You wouldn't have to worry about that.
Okay.
Is there going to be any restrictions on the other 3 individuals to make sure you get one like of each of those districts, or could you end up with 3 people from the MOR or 3 from the Lincoln BUC?
The intent is to get representation, so not to
Okay.
congregate those. So there might need to be some language about that, but I couldn't quite figure out what that language was. So if you have suggestions, I'd be happy to hear it, Scott.
No, I think it's as much as anything. It's more in terms of the the intent of staff as you're inviting people to consider this, that you make a diligent effort to have that diversity on the board, which I think is helpful. And I might also suggest even for the alternate members that you have them not be both from one of those districts or something like that, again, to promote as much diversity as possible. Anybody else have any other suggestions or reaction or comments for staff prior to their presentation?
I have one question too about the purpose of it. Lori had stated that it was to get greater participation of existing members from both boards, but is there currently already an overlap of participation across the 2 boards now? So in other words, would individuals who already sit on both boards would just be practically speaking now have one board that they're a member of? Or can you just talk about how does it impact existing membership, or would you need to identify new individuals to come on board, or all the individuals already exist and we're basically just consolidating in name?
Right now, all of the individuals exist, and there's pretty good representation, like broad representation. So the only person that we don't have appointed at this point is someone from the East Urbana Design Review Overlay District. I will mention that one of the other representatives that meets another category happens to live within that district. So there's kind of, right now, anyway, sort of a quasi representation there. I don't want to speak for that member, but so I think that this is an easy way to get this combined so that those 4 members, only the 4 that are consistent, only have one board, but then also make sure that the other volunteers actually have an opportunity to serve on a board on maybe a slightly more regular basis.
Any other questions or input for staff on this issue? Great. Well, thank you for putting this together.
Just in terms of timing, I'm not sure exactly when this will go to Plan Commission, but probably within the next month or so. So if you think of anything as you're thinking about this, just give me a call or shoot me an email. I'll be happy to talk to you about it, or put your input in it.
And then looking ahead, if it is favorably received at Plan Commission, then what's the process after that?
Then go on to City Council, who would need to not only approve that text amendment, but then the mayor would need to formally put forth names for appointment to that new board. So that would probably all happen at the same meeting, and then City Council would vote on that.
Gotcha. So effectively, will the other boards that exist right now, would we be disbanded? And I mean, is that kind of procedurally what happens?
Right. So there's nothing technical that those boards need to do to disband. It's just a matter of, because those boards were created in the zoning ordinance, if the zoning ordinance then uncreates them by creating something else and deletes the old references, then it's gone.
Then it's gone. Okay. Great. Anything else on that? Great. Thank you, Lori. No study session items, I assume? Okay. And then that we stand adjourned.